Okay, so let's look at how we can create and manipulate objects in 3ds Max. So to create an object, we need to go to the right hand side under the command panel. Under the first tab, Create and Geometry, we have a set of primitives that we can work with. So I'm going to create a box for this example. So each primitive has its own slightly different creation method. So for the box, we need to left click in the viewport and hold to drag out a base. And if we let go of that left click, we can drag out the height. So it's okay if this is not the right size that you're looking for, because we can always change that in the parameters right here. So I'm going to make a nice even cube, so 5 by 5 meters. And let's keep the length, width, and height segments at 5. So to exit the creation mode, we just need to right click in the viewport. So there are 3 ways we can manipulate an object in 3ds Max, and that's by moving, rotating, or scaling. So up in the main toolbar, we have the buttons for moving, scaling, and rotating. The first one is move, and you can see that the hotkey is W. When we press this tool, we are presented with this gizmo. And you'll notice that if I hover over one of the handles, so let's say the X, it turns yellow. And this just indicates that I can move in that direction. And of course I can do the same for the others as well. If I wanted to move in 2 directions, so let's say the X and the Z axes, I just need to hover over the square separating in between the two, and you'll notice that it turns yellow, and I'll be able to move in both directions. If I wanted to move in all directions, I just need to hover over the center square, and this will move in all directions based off the current camera position. So next is rotate, that is E on the keyboard, and this works very much the same. So I can highlight one of the handles and rotate in that direction. And if I wanted to rotate this object in all directions, I can hover over the outer ring here, and that will rotate based off the current angle of the camera. Next we have is scale, which is R on the keyboard, and it works the same way. So I can scale up and down. If I wanted to move in one axis, I can. If I wanted to move in 2, I can do that just by hovering over that outer triangle. Just something to note with the scale tool is that if you notice up in the toolbar, there's a little white arrow. If I press and hold, it gives me 3 other options, or 2 other options. So let's say I have this one enabled, and it's not doing what I want it to do. You might have it set to a different scaling method. So this can be cycled by pressing R on the keyboard multiple times. So now that we have the sizing and positioning and rotation correct, how do we edit the sub-objects of this model? So first we need to convert this into an editable poly. To do that, you can right click on your object, and in the bottom right hand quad menu, which is this one here, we can go to convert to editable poly. Our command panel changes to our modifier panel, and we have a range of selection methods. So we can select the vertex, edge, and polygon sub-objects of this object here. We can also select any borders and elements if available. So by pressing 1 on the keyboard, we have access to our sub-object vertex. And again, we can highlight these vertices and we can scale them, we can rotate them, and we can move them. By pressing 2 on the keyboard, it will take me to edge selection. And again, I can move, rotate, and scale these. Pressing 3 will take me to border. This only works if there's an open face presented. Currently there's not, so it won't work. Pressing 4 will allow me to select the polygon. And by holding down Control, I can add to the selection. And pressing Alt will deselect from that selection. And like the others, I can scale, move, and rotate. Next we have element selection, and this will select entire sub-objects within an object, like so. So for example, just by cloning this quickly, by holding down Control Shift, these objects here, these two objects, are part of one larger object. So you can tell by the fact that if I click this one on the left here gets highlighted as well. So element selection will allow me to select an entire sub-object within an object. To get out of sub-object selection mode and back to object mode, we can press the same hotkey that we have currently activated, or the button in the modifier panel. So right now I have element, so that's the 5th item here. So if I press 5, it will take me back to object mode, or of course I can press that button again and it will take me back to object mode.